If you are planning to come to Australia for your studies soon, this is the video you need to watch for sure. As in this video, we'll discuss about the things you need to do before arriving in Australia as an international student. So consider this video as your pre-departure checklist. So let's dive in straight to the topic. Now the first thing first, you will need a passport and a student visa. Obviously, if you want to come to Australia for your studies, you need to have at least these two things. So make sure you have got your visa sorted already and make sure that you have a passport which has a validity of at least 6 months on it, because having a less than 6 months of validity can cause an issue when arriving in different countries. And make sure you have already printed all your visa documentation as well, so you have it handy when you need it. The second thing will be the student enrollment and other documents. So your institution that you're planning to study would have issued you a confirmation of enrollment, also known as COE, and they may have letter of offer or some other documentations that they might have issued to you. So make sure to print out all these student enrollment documents and bring along some other documents as well, like your certifications from back home, like IELTS test results, or other documentations like your driving license, birth certificates, and so on. We actually have a complete list of items that you need to bring into Australia on our website. We will link that article in the description below, so make sure to check it out. The next thing you will need to do before arriving in Australia is arranging your overseas student health cover, also known as OSHC. So it's a legal requirement that before you enter into Australia on a student visa, you must have this student insurance. This is obviously to protect any health issues you might have while you are in Australia on your student visa. So if you haven't already bought it, make sure to buy this insurance before arriving in Australia. The next one will be booking your flights. So we suggest that you book your flights to Australia nice and early after you get your student visa. If you're booking closer to your arrival date, then it can be a bit expensive at times. Also, we suggest that you book it through a reputable travel agent or book it directly with an airline, especially these days because of cancellations and rescheduling because of COVID-19 things. And once you have already booked them, make sure to print out all the booking confirmation from the airlines as well. It will help you to keep track of your airline, especially if you are transiting as well. The next thing we suggest you to do before arriving is to book your travel insurance. Now you would have already booked your overseas student health cover, but we also suggest you that you have your travel insurance booked as well. Travel insurance usually cover things like cancelled flight, or you might have to book additional hotel for a night if the flights get cancelled, or lost documents, broken baggages. All these things which are usually not covered in your overseas student health cover can be covered in travel insurance. So we suggest you to take one. Although we need to say that it's not compulsory, but it is recommended. The next thing will be to get a list of contact details. So it will be a good idea for you to have a list of contact details, especially the emergency contact details of your family and also other places in Australia. So those other places in Australia includes your university contact details, the accommodation that you're planning to stay in, and also your embassy or local consulate in Australia as well. It's good to have the details of the names, the phone numbers, and their physical address as well. The next thing you need to get yourself ready for before arriving in Australia is to understand the custom and any COVID requirements as well. So as you know, Australian customs are quite strict for the things that you can and can't bring. So on Australian Border Force website, you can check individual items that you can and can't bring. We highly recommend you to check that website before arriving. We'll put the link of that in the description as well. Also, apart from that, understand if there are any specific COVID-19 requirements as well. At the moment, there is no vaccination requirements for COVID-19 when traveling to Australia. But government has actually asked recently for travelers coming from China, Hong Kong, and Macau to do a testing before arriving in Australia. So make sure to understand those requirements as well if you need to meet those requirements. Again, by the time you're watching this video, these requirements may not be required anymore, but it's always good to check that on the Department of Health's website. Again, link will be in the description for that as well. The next thing you will need to arrange is airport transfer. So after arriving in Australia, how would you reach your accommodation from your airport? Sometimes your university might offer you a free pickup. If that's the case, great. Make sure you arrange that before nice and early as well. You may not be able to arrange it if it's too close to your arrival time. So it's always a good idea to book that in advance as well. Otherwise, if your university is not providing that service, you can book a taxi, or you can also get Uber or other ride sharing services from the airport as well. The next thing will be booking your accommodation. Ensure that you book your accommodation nice and early as well. Whether it's a short-term accommodation or a long-term accommodation, accommodation, it's always a good idea to book that nice and early. Now make sure you have the complete address of your accommodation as well, because you will need to write this on your incoming passenger card when you are arriving in Australia. And again, we got a video on how to complete your incoming passenger card. Link will be in the description as always. The next thing you'll need to arrange is Australian currency. Get yourself some Australian currency before arriving in Australia. Now the common question for international students is, how much money should I bring as an international student? Well, I would say it depends. There's a lot of factors that come into play, but anywhere 1,000 to 2,000 Australian dollars can be great for your first few days. Of course, you don't need to bring everything in cash. You can bring in your bank card if they allow you to use it internationally as well, and make sure that your bank doesn't charge you crazy amount of international transaction fee if that's the case. So confirm that with your bank in your home country before arriving in Australia. But it's highly recommended to bring some Australian currency when you're arriving in Australia. Personally, I brought 1,000 Australian dollar cash with myself, but everyone's different, so make sure you understand your personal circumstances and bring along as much money as you can to help you with your first few days. Packing is the next thing. Now packing vary a lot based on the climate, based on the destination you are coming in, and many other factors. But make sure to understand the airline requirements as well on things that you can and can't bring, and the weightage of your luggage that you're allowed to bring. Some airlines allow international students to bring additional luggage for free as well. Make sure to confirm that with your airline. Now if you want a complete packing checklist, we got you sorted as well. We got a complete packing checklist on our website. As always, link is in the description. Last but not the least is to download all the apps on your phone that you might need. Now you might need to research on what sort of apps you might need when arriving in Australia. Of course, you might need apps like Maps on your phone. You might need apps for language translator, or for ride sharing services, or food delivery services, or public transport services in Australia. There might be many apps that you need while you are here in Australia on your student visa. So it will be good if you can download them before coming in. So hopefully this information help you with your traveling to Australia. In the next videos, we will talk about the things you need to do after arriving in Australia and when you're going to university. So make sure to subscribe to the channel for getting more information regarding that. And all the useful links will be in the description. Make sure to check them out. And as always, thank you for watching. See you in the next one.